everyone, and welcome to Daily Newspaper Analysis, which is brought to you by LawSikho. So today we have an editorial for our discussion. So this has been taken from the Hindu newspaper. The title of this article is "Drafting a New Constitution is Impossible." So amid the tussle of power between the center and the states, some states, specifically if we talk about Telangana, they have actually argued and proposed that we should actually have a new statute, all in all, wherein more powers would be given to the states, and this inequality in the federal system of the country would be cured. But let's see how much is it possible to have a new constitution at all. On the second note, we have the news update, which has important news points for our prelims exam specifically. So we'll see that. And finally, we'll be concluding with the legal news, wherein we'll be discovering the new judgments or the important topics of legal discussion coming from various courts of the country. Also, if you would like this discussion, please do not forget to give it a like. It's actually very inspirational for all of us as creators. And also do not forget to subscribe to our channel. So let's see that why this question of bringing the constitution, all in all, a new constitution is there. So let's see why is it into news. Basically, the Chief Minister of Telangana has criticized the central government for suppressing the power of states and said that India needs a new constitution. See, basically, we should understand the fact that yes, of course, India is a federal country. A federal country is the one in which the powers are distributed between the center and the states. But also one thing that we need to note here is that India is not just a normal federal country like the United States of America, but we have taken our federal structure from Canada, which means that instead of being a federation of states, India becomes a union of states. Now, by this, we mean that the powers in a federal system, as they are distributed generally, they're not done so in our country, India. What happens is that the power distribution is actually on an unequal basis. So we definitely have a federal country or a federal structure, but we definitely have a bias or we have a stronger center, which means that the center enjoys more powers as compared to the states. That is why we are many times called as, a federal country with a center-biased system or even a quasi-federal system. Now, in this situation, it becomes even worse when the government that is there in the states is not the same as the government that we have at the center. Due to which what happens is that due to political differences and differences in ideologies and other political reasons, the center tends to give lesser powers, even lesser power to the states, and that definitely is not enjoyed. So here we can very clearly see the example of Telangana. We can definitely see the example of West Bengal as well, wherein the government is formed by TMC, whereas on center we have, the government by BJP. So there has always been a never-ending tussle between West Bengal and center as well. And the recent tussle between the governor of West Bengal and the chief minister is also very much evident. Now let's see that what are the rights and the wrongs of the statements made. First of all, it is very much true that center has been suppressing the powers of the states. We have definitely seen it in many cases. And the Supreme Court has reminded the government for this. So many a times through its judgments, the very famous case of S.R. Bomai versus Union of India, and in the case of Government of NCT of Delhi versus Union of India, that was a very recent case of 2018 indeed, it was very much held that the spirit of federalism is when the powers are properly distributed, and we should follow cooperation between the center and the states rather than having any kind of competition for powers between the two. Now, the drafting committee, if we talk about it, definitely it had a bias towards the superior central government due to the issues being faced by the princely states created by the partition. Now, as we know that during the times of Indian independence and when we were bringing together all the princely states, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel had played a very important role in bringing all the princely states together, and definitely it was not easy to bring them all together. Thus, it was important that to make sure that these princely states in the longer run as states hold back together, it was considered that we should have a stronger center that can do so. But definitely the situation that existed then does not exist now. And definitely the kind of strong hold of the center on the states might not be required now, because no states are anyway going to secede from the country. However, or secede basically from the union. However, the constitution enshrines provisions under Article 131 for the states to approach the Supreme Court in any case that might happen. So Telangana came to be only because the parliament decided to carve out a new state despite Andhra Pradesh rejecting the said resolution. Now here also we can understand that though Andhra Pradesh was maybe not very favorable of making Telangana as a different state, but the Supreme Court finally And the central government, it finally agreed, and thus Telangana was brought out as a different state altogether, being carved out from the Andhra Pradesh. Now let's see that why a new constitution cannot be made as of today. Firstly, the election of B.R. Ambedkar as the chairman of the drafting committee. Basically, he was elected despite losing his seat due to partition of Bengal. So this shows the accommodative spirit of the government, which is distinctly lacking now. See, what happened was that, as we know, that the members of the Constituent Assembly, they were chosen, as an electorates. They were chosen, or they were elected from their own, provinces. So B.R. Ambedkar, he had actually lost his seat, due to the partition of Bengal, but like he had lost his seat, but he was despite elected after losing his seat, right? So this actually shows that how accommodative the people and other members of the assembly were, which definitely today you cannot find that easy. Second, the caste and nepotism would play a pivotal role, unlike the constitution we have, where the rights of the majority and the minority are protected. Now, earlier, as we know, that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was a great representative of the people who were Harijans, or that were differentiated on the basis of their caste. But in today's scenario, the situation is not the same at all, and rather caste and creed and nepotism is used as a major factor of dividing the people rather bringing them together. Thirdly, the drafting committee valued time, something which is grossly absent in today's parliament. Now, just imagine that the whole constitution, the largest constitution of the world, it was constituted, it was completely drafted in 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days. So, all in all, if we say it was like for 3 years at most, that was like a complete new constitution was drafted. And just take a situation for today, that even today so many bills in the house, the parliament, they have been pending for like years and years. Like, for example, let's take a bill for providing 30% reservation to the women in parliament. It has been pending for not like it for more than 30 years now. So definitely time is not really valued today. Only the political will is to be what we are taking care of. Then the debates used to be healthier and suggestions taken account of. They were taken account of, but now the bills are passed without taking into account the suggestions of the opposition, and many times so many bills are literally passed into haste. So the drafting committee chose their nation first, but the present day politicians would choose their party first. And finally, the Andhra Pradesh government was given power to modify any order by the tribunal which had replaced the High Court. Now, how could a state replace an order where the state itself is a party? So, see, this was actually the case in Sambamurthy versus State of Andhra Pradesh in 1986. And impartiality currently does not really exist today as it used to be during the drafting committee. That is why there are a lot of challenges that we would be facing if at all in the wildest of the dreams we think of making a new constitution for the country. Now let's see what do we have for news updates for the day. Firstly, a 9,000 years old shrine has been found in Jordan. So, a team of Jordanian and French archaeologists have found a 9,000-year-old shrine at a remote Neolithic site in Jordan's eastern desert. So, the ritual complex has been discovered near large structures which are known as the desert kites or mast traps and were used to corral wild gazelles for slaughter. So, within the shrine were two carved standing stones bearing anthropomorphic figures, one accompanied by a representation of the desert kite as well as an altar, hearth, marine shells, and miniature model of the gazelle trap. Second one, advertisement body releases a new rules for crypto product. So in order to safeguard the interests of the investors and prevent agencies from misleading them, the self-governing body of Indian advertising industry has published guidelines for the advertising of the virtual digital asset. And thirdly, Indian Navy's multilateral exercise MILAN 2021 or MILAN 2022, sorry, the Indian Navy has scheduled to initiate its multilateral exercise MILAN 2022 from 25th February. So it will be conducted over a duration of 9 days in two phases. The harbor phase is scheduled from February 25th to 28th and the sea phase from 1 to 4 of March. So, MILAN 2022 will witness its largest ever participation with more than 40 countries sending their warships, high level delegations. And the theme of MILAN 2022 exercise is camaraderie, cohesion, and collaboration. All right, let's see what do we have for the legal news today. Firstly, important aspect of gender equality getting postponed, says the Supreme Court, and it asks Nagaland government to implement 33% women reservation in local bodies. So the Supreme Court on Tuesday asked the Nagaland government to report in 6 weeks with a plan to implement 33% reservation for women in the local bodies. The Supreme Court reminded the Nagaland government that the violation of this would amount to violation of court order. Secondly, writ petition under Article 32 to quash FIR or criminal proceedings cannot be entertained, says the Supreme Court again. So the Supreme Court observed that a relief which is considerable by the High Court under Section 482 of the Criminal Procedure Code could not be considered by the Supreme Court in exercise of powers as stipulated under Article 32 of the Indian Constitution. Hence, the writ petition to quash the FIR or criminal proceedings was not entertained by the Supreme Court. So this was all for the day. We hope it was a good and informative session for you all. Thank you so much for staying tuned with LawSikho. If you wish to download the PDF of today's slides, please join our Telegram channel. The link is there in the description box below, or you can scan this QR code that you can see on your screens right now. Also, for other crisp and exam-oriented content, please do not forget to follow us on our official Instagram channels for LawSikho Judiciary, CLAT Prep, UGC Net, as well as finance exams. Thank you so much.